Good evening. Permission to breathe day 10. And on that note, I've just finished exercising and I'm up to 3,000 steps and 25 times 30 steps, which is great. I'm Kelly Davis, NLP practitioner, timeline therapist, hypnotherapist, life and business coach. I've had a lot of learning in the last couple of weeks. I've sold my TV, and it's made a hell of a difference. And so I'm spending a lot of time relearning some skills, or making sure that I have, by practice and reading and going over them again and again and again, and expanding on that information and going into other support material in that information, that I am expanding my knowledge currently. And there's a lot of interesting stuff out there if you're willing to sit down and read or look elsewhere other than the TV. There's a couple of little things. I've got a little question for everybody, and this is a question that I do not have an answer to. If I do my best and I achieve this level, but it's my absolute best, I put absolutely everything in I possibly can, and that is the level that I get to, but I have gone all out, and another person puts in half the effort, they're not really doing their best, they're not really bothered, and they reach here, right? Or they reach the top of the spectrum, but by having not put in any real effort. Who is the person that's best? I understand that there's a level of achievement, an external level of achievement that we look at, but if it hasn't been achieved through vast amounts of effort, or there is a certain level of disinterest, surely the person who has put absolutely their heart and soul into it, no matter what level they've got into, that they are indeed the winners at the end of the day. Because I just think that the person who then hasn't even put in half the effort, have they really not let themselves down by not achieving what they really could fully achieve? And sometimes when things come to us so simply, maybe we stop putting in the effort that we could, and therefore we plateau. And it's just a question that I'm putting out to anybody who thinks they possibly have an answer for me, or what your thoughts are on it. That was one of the thoughts that came up. One of the main things is I've very much, I've spoken about this. I know this is about conscious breathing, but I've spent the last probably 7 months more in retreat and more on my own than I have outside, and it's been a blessed time for me. And what has come out of it is that I am far more conscious and far more aware of myself, and therefore I feel that from this time alone, spending time working on me, the world outside has changed for me, and I have changed for the world. And in a time where we are so much strife between different groups pointing fingers, that if something goes wrong, it's you. If I feel angry, it's your fault. If I feel sad, it's your fault. If the earth is breaking, it's your fault. And we constantly try to fix or point fingers at external factors that need to be fixed. When I think that if we were all more conscious and focused inward and focused on what can we fix about ourselves, and taking every situation that we're in as feedback into where are we at, who are we, where do we need growth, where do we need to change, where can we recognize in ourselves the things that need attention, consciousness. What can we bring into our own consciousness about ourselves, as opposed to constantly trying to fix things outside of ourselves. And look, part of that is I throughout my 40 years have spent a lot of time trying to fix other people. I've been in a lot of relationships where I've been a fixer, and the relationships have been messy, and it's dragged me down, and at the end of the day, it hasn't done them any good either, because what I needed from those relationships really was the feedback from the relationship as to where I was at, and not to worry about what the other person was doing. And if they could see me as feedback for themselves and get some growth from that, then that would have been great. But I think too many times our relationships on this planet are about, we look at ourselves and go, you're not giving me what I need, you're not doing this, and you're not doing that. But we, instead of looking at it in that any person you're in a relationship is really actually truly giving you what you need at the end of the day, whether you like it or not. And I'm not saying stay in a relationship that is abusive or anything of that kind. In fact, if that is the case, then it's very much an indication and feedback that you should not be in that relationship. But one thing I would urge you to look at is that if it has been a destructive relationship of any kind, in any way, mentally, emotionally, verbally, spiritually, if you feel broken after being in it, which part of you was broken going into it? Which part of you were you trying to fix by being with that other person? Were you trying to fix them instead of focusing on fixing yourself at the time? And sometimes I think we use the term love far too quickly and randomly in a situation when we're in a personal relationship with somebody. And the person we should be loving is ourselves, and we need to love the broken parts as much as we love the good parts. Because when we can love the difficult parts and the parts of us, the darker parts, and we all have them, we're all equal masses of light and darkness. But if you can integrate and accept and acknowledge and learn from the darker side of yourself, I think that the lighter side becomes so much lighter and so much stronger. And yeah, those are my thoughts for today, really, on the consciousness and whether you do conscious breathing. At the moment, today, my conscious breathing, because we're now into 10 minutes, was more on exercise. I made sure that my skipping tonight was absolutely 100% focused and conscious. And I can see that there is a massive change in the way that I skip. The method, I've had to shorten the rope because my movement is less erratic and dramatic. It's become a lot more controlled. My body is a lot more still, and the skips are a lot smaller. There's less movement in my body. It is more difficult. I feel I'm using more energy in doing it because now the control is there. But in order to find that control, I'm having to really be conscious about it. But the more days I skip, and the fact that it is now consistent, and that I'm really sticking to this, the change in my body is visible, physically visible, and it is also, I can feel it inside my body. So whatever you're doing consciously, whether you've decided to go along with the conscious breathing exercises, whether you have preferred to do something else consciously, work on your singing, work on your art, playing with your children, spending time with your husband, consciously being with somebody else, in somebody else's presence, being conscious of what is happening between the two of you in relationship. I think all too many times, again, we are on our phones watching TV. There is always some kind of clatter in the background, and we really sit and listen to one another and give each other enough time. And even if that today is the 10 minutes that you give one another, so be it. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a conscious breathing exercise. Basically, this is an exercise in being conscious and getting the most from the world that you can. One last parting thing. I've spent a lot of time moving away from things. Constantly moving. I went through drug addiction. I moved cities, found drugs in another city, moved cities again. Kept finding the same type of guy. Get rid of the guy, move cities, move guys, whatever it is. I move into a home. The home doesn't work. Find another home, same thing. Constantly moving away from what I thought the problem was. And it's okay for a while and in the beginning, but if you are not working towards a positive and moving towards what you want in life, rather than constantly looking back over your shoulder at what you're trying to leave behind, you will never get away from it. And again, it comes down to the consciousness of what is it that I actually want, and where am I moving towards? What positive steps do I need to take to get to where I want to be? And rather than worrying about what is going on behind you, take the steps towards where you want to be and what you want to achieve. And it is far more achievable in a far shorter period of time, and is far more easily achieved if that is what your focus is. What we focus on grows. And I don't care what it is. Whatever you focus your energy on expands that energy. And that is a scientific fact. It has got nothing to do with any airy-fairy stuff that we're into, any of us. It is a scientific fact. And I urge you then, as we sort of now head towards the middle of January, which is the first month of 2021, start thinking about and focusing on, forget about 2020, forget about the negativities and everything else that has gone on. Focus on what it is that you want this year to be, and even next year if you need to, but focus on, even if it's day by day. You don't have to focus very far ahead. At the minute, it's sometimes difficult just getting through one day. Think about what you want tomorrow. Think about what you want for later in the day, but make sure that it's a positive thought. And if you can achieve just that one small thing every day, moving towards a positive side, you might find yourself 6 months from now having created a positive in every single day of your life. So be conscious about that if you can. That's about it for me. If anybody's looking for therapy or coaching sessions, I am working online at the moment. There are fees and bookings on my Facebook. Otherwise, you can also message me and we can have a chat about it. And if these little chats are helpful to you, please like, subscribe, and share, either from the Facebook page or through the YouTube channel. I really don't mind which it is. There might be somebody out there who's actually looking to hear something that I have to say, even if it's not you. Guys, thanks for listening. And day 11 tomorrow, permission to breathe. Let's see how it goes. Love you lots, and chat tomorrow. Cheers.